Live at Onigashima! I'm Anthony.
And I'm Jimmy, and we have One Piece chapter 1140, Scopper Gyaban, the chapter finally named after him, even though they spelled it a little differently.
Yeah,
but whatever.
it's fine. Cool cover story here. A continuation of the Yamato cover story, of course, and we are confirmed that this is ulti now, and page 1 is definitely on the other side of this panel. And I think what's going to end up happening here, and a lot of people are saying this, but I think what's going to end up happening is that ulti and page 1 are going to join Yamato, because Yamato is walking in Oden's footsteps, and so Yamato's gonna need like scabbards essentially, or whatever equivalent. So I feel like ulti and page 1 are a good first step.
I feel like maybe I could go either way on it, because if they are gonna recruit any of like the headliners, those two are probably the youngest, so they could actually be susceptible to just switching sides. But at the same time, I don't necessarily know, because they are technically enemies of Yamato. Yeah. So Yamato doesn't necessarily have a reason to save them.
But they were also allies at some point, right? And they were allies with
semi-allies.
They were allies with Who's Who at some point too. They're also fan favorites, so I could see Oda like.
Yeah, that's the other part, right? Yeah. They are fan favorites.
But getting right into the chapter, we're back where we're at with Scopper Gyaban. Luffy and Zoro are. They fight him right in the beginning, right? And so immediate power scaling here.
Immediately. Luffy weaker than Scopper Gyaban. He's an old man. GG, it's over. Just kidding. You can tell at first Luffy's like not trying anything. It's going to be easy. And then he's like, wait a minute, I actually have to try. I mean, he doesn't even go gear 5 till the end when Scopper Gyaban stops the fight.
Yeah.
But I will say that, and even in base, it doesn't look like he's necessarily trying all out. Like, I don't think he's using any future sight hockey here. Yeah. He looks too upset to be calm enough to be doing that stuff.
I don't think he's taking it seriously at first, until Zoro tells him to dodge the attack in a very Big Mom-esque way. Like on Roof.
I've seen a lot of memes of that so far. Just Zoro dressed up as Big Mom. But it is cool that Zoro just blocks the attack like that. I thought that was pretty sick. Yeah, I love that panel, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the panel also of when he's like, let's go Zoro, and like they're side by side, because it mirrors the panel in the God Valley flashback of Rayleigh and Roger, which I thought was cool. I don't know if you noticed that, but
that's the Pirate King in his right wing right there.
Exactly. But yeah, so I mean, Scopper Gyaban is like feeling him out. We also have you gotta realize like how big this castle is, and like that little portion that Scopper Gyaban like casually blew off is probably like a mountain,
Yeah, I mean, also it reminds me of the same feat that Zoro did when he was fighting Kaido during the literally same attack where Big Mom told him to dodge. He cut off the horn of Onigashima, which is a giant fucking thing. Also,
yeah, probably
similar in size to this. So there's huge parallels here, as you can clearly see.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think that a lot of people are now debating like who's stronger, Gyaban or Rayleigh. By the looks of it, I mean, obviously we haven't seen that much of Gyaban. I'm willing to say that at the very least they got to be really, really close. And obviously people are going to take this to the Zoro Sanji debate, right?
That's what I was going to take it to.
So, people are like, oh, well, looks like Gyaban is in his prime, not an alcoholic, or not in his prime, but like not an alcoholic, kind of casually taking on an emperor and his right wing. Obviously, like they weren't going all out, but still. So a lot of people are like,
well, technically not fighting Zoro the whole time either. But
that's true. But a lot of people are like, oh, Gyaban over Rayleigh, therefore Sanji over Zoro, which complete incorrect.
No,
but
I think it's more like you said at the beginning. I think they're very relative in strength to each other. And I mean, even if this is a very impressive showing from Gyaban, we did see Rayleigh off rip, just no training beforehand, go against an admiral.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, he's like no slouch either.
Yeah, that's true.
And base Luffy had to go gear 5 to fight against Kizaru, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
And Rayleigh was doing it like just
I think the thing with Rayleigh that people are downplaying him with is that whole thing with Blackbeard, right? Where he was like, I don't think I could have taken him because I'm old. And we haven't heard that really from Gyaban yet, but we've only known him for 2 chapters.
Well, I've also think like a lot of people are using that to downplay Rayleigh. I think it's more of a way to upscale Blackbeard. And I think a lot of people keep underestimating Blackbeard over and over again. Like, especially when we've heard in the past, like Shanks say like, oh, I was trying against Blackbeard, and he gave me the scar, and that was before Blackbeard had 2 devil fruits.
Yeah.
No, so I think people need to start taking Blackbeard a lot more seriously.
I think so too. I mean, Blackbeard, we'll see what he does. Like, it's really up in the air because all of his fights are like off panel at the moment.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to tell.
Yeah. But going to the just kind of the end of that part, like they tell him, you know, Gyaban does not reveal himself as like a Roger pirate to them, you know what I mean?
He did say something very ominous though. He was like, "Oh, if the island's still here, please find me again." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean if the island's still here? Is this going to be that Ragnarok we keep talking about all the time? Is it going to be Loki that destroys the island? Is it going to be the God's Knights? Is it going to be a combination of both?" I feel like something big is about to happen.
Something big is gonna happen. It's gonna be interesting to see, like, now that Gyaban like is not gonna be alongside the Straw Hats. Like, we thought that maybe like he'd be like a mentor figure or whatever, or like somebody to guide them a little bit more. And you know, he's kind of doing that. He's giving them the key to Loki or whatever to like push things in the right direction, I guess, for them. But he's not really gonna be like alongside them through this arc. It's gonna be interesting to see like where he interacts with like the villains or like whoever else is on this island, you know, come the rest of the arc. Like, he's just here now, you know what I mean?
Well, one of the other things also is, I agree, he's not going to be like a figure in terms of, he's not going to mentor them here, but if he is saying to come find them at the end of this arc, I have a feeling he's going to give him the last word poneglyph. I think this is where they're going to get it, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
Because I mean, who else would really know about it and move it besides another Roger pirate? And where better to keep it than on Elbaf, where no one else is going to find it either.
So do you think that he could be the man marked by flames?
I think so. A lot of people were saying that before, because he does have that scar by his eye too.
Yeah.
That kind of looks like it could be like marked by flames also. So potentially he could be this. Or if it's still like Saul like we thought before. I mean, he's very friendly with all the giants. Maybe he just also told Saul about it.
I mean, looking at it again,
I'm a little less likely about that.
It kind of does look like a flame. Like the mark itself looks like a flame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and we don't know where he got it. Like, he didn't have this in the Odin flashback. I don't think so, anyways. And so like,
I don't think so, but I'd have to go back and check, to be honest.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see like where it all goes. But speaking of Shanks, not that we're speaking of Shanks.
This is Shanks, bro. This is Shamrock.
But we got to get into the rest of this. So we got like a lot more lore drop about like how all these summoning circles work. So we're back over to the God's Knights, right? The Holy Knights. And they're flying over this school, and looks like they're trying to abduct these kids. But they summon 2 more Holy Knights.
I was going to say really quick about the circles that you mentioned is we actually got 2 pretty big pieces here. One, they can be summoned by these God's Knights. I don't know if it's a Gunko specific thing. I imagine not.
Probably not.
I imagine just somebody has to be there to summon it. In which case, on Egghead, how did the thing get summoned off rip? What, did Saturn walk over, or did he just teleport into it? That's still a little bit of a mystery. But then also the part that I thought was really interesting, because we were kind of questioning this before. Clearly people have to have the marks in order to be able to use the teleportation, because they said like, oh, we can't just steal these kids and teleport them because they don't have the mark.
Yeah.
So I guess it is something given by probably Emu, like we were mentioning before. So this is probably a power from Emu that he's like bestowing upon all of these God's Knights.
Yeah, I wonder like
so
where.
I thought both of the things were really interesting.
So here's a theory that I heard. This is kind of a soft theory, but I saw it somewhere on Twitter, and the mark itself, like, we haven't really seen like what a mark would look like on any of these people, but like I said before, like, we see these new Holy Knights, and we see Saint Summers, right, have some kind of like tattoos on his arms because he's like, you know, naked when he teleports in. But,
which, by the way, hilarious. And he's like, yeah, give me like an hour to get ready, and then all of a sudden he's just here on his couch,
like, chilling, dude.
I like how it also teleported the entire couch also.
Yeah, dude, it was funny.
Just the couch
and all
of
his stuff. But the tattoo on his arm, so here's the thing, right? We haven't seen the rest of the Holy Knights like arms and stuff, or like their limbs, really. I mean, like, we have Gunko's legs, I guess, but like they're all covered by these like suits, right? So that could be the mark. And one theory that I heard was that, you know, if Shanks used to be up in the Holy Land at some point, maybe his arm that he got eaten off in episode 1 had that mark, and that was maybe potentially one of the reasons why he wanted to lose the arm. All these people downplaying like, oh my god, Shanks would never have lost his arm in this situation, da da da. What if that was the reason where he purposely like got it eaten off? Because he wanted to get rid of this like mark of the celestial dragons.
I mean, that's an interesting thought, but I have to go back, but I'm pretty sure we just see Shanks's arm in the first chapter before it gets eaten off. I don't think it's fully covered the whole time is my only issue.
That's probably true.
But at the same time, these marks also might not necessarily be like literal like tattoos and marks.
Yeah.
Like it could be something that's placed on you and then kind of just like disappear, so it's not a visible mark.
Yeah.
In which case, yeah, maybe it was placed on Shanks's arm then either way, and he wanted to get rid of it. Would he necessarily know about that mark because he was taken away as a baby?
Yeah, but he went back afterwards, right? Like before, because another theory that I had heard a lot of is like that the reason Shanks was crying when Roger was
I've heard this one too.
Was like telling him that the crew is gonna disband is that he was like telling Shanks the truth about his lineage, and maybe after that. The reason why Shanks was like quote unquote giving up on being a pirate or like giving up going after the One Piece, like he told Buggy he went to the Holy Land instead, and we did get confirmation from Shamrock that like Shanks was there at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot to go off. These summoning circles can be pretty like. I think the craziest part also is whenever there's one God's Knights, there's always the potential for them to all be there at the same time, no matter what they're doing. Also, right? Like they could be in the middle of something else, which maybe that's some plot point later. Maybe like the God's Knights are fighting other people, they're about to lose, but then they have to be called over to like fight. I don't know, the Straw Hats or something.
Right.
So the Straw Hats inadvertently save like other nations that are being overrun by the God's Knights because they're forced to be summoned to fight the Straw Hats themselves, and I feel like that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I want to talk also, a little bit more about them. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to talk about the other one too, Saint Kinlagam. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's a Keelingam, maybe. I don't know.
Keelingam. But he looks like a dragon. I know people have been saying he's like, a literal Kirin, like the mythical Japanese creature.
Oh, true, yeah.
Which is really cool. I think it's interesting that he's wearing the helmet. I'm not sure why he's wearing the helmet, because it reminds me a lot of the Celestial Dragon one, but it's also kind of different from them. Right. But also none of the rest of the Gods Knights are wearing them. So was he the only actual Celestial Dragon that got turned into a Gods Knights, and the others were just other types of people that got promoted there?
Yeah, that's
and
one.
If so, why are random people being promoted to Gods Knights and not just Celestial Dragons?
Here's another thing: is that like we don't get like a devil fruit confirmation or anything here. I would imagine it's a devil fruit because like we don't know anybody that's not human being a celestial dragon. You know what I mean? Like it's always been like, you know, since Arlong he said like, oh, the humans run this world because they have numbers and they have da da da, and he is the first. Like they're prejudiced against everybody that's not a human. And you know, furthermore, not just human, but like, you know, not celestial dragons. So it's like it's weird to see something that's like not. It doesn't look like a human. He does have, it looks like the awakening clouds that like Lucci and Yamato.
Well, we've been fooled by those before, I will say.
Yeah.
Because for instance, like I've saw people saying this too, like Gear 4 Luffy had those same clouds, but he wasn't awakened yet there either.
Yeah, that's true. But it could be an indication of like a zone fruit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it could be some type of zone type fruit also. But I agree. I think they're way too prejudiced to just let, like, my other thought, but then I quickly dispelled it, was that he was a fisherman. But along the same reasoning, like, I don't think they would ever let a fisherman into their ranks because they're racist.
Yeah, I'm more leaning towards, like, mythical zone. Like, I like the Kirin thing. I think that's cool. He really does.
And it would be
like
cool.
That.
I feel like the Gods Knights deserve a mythical zone also.
Yeah.
Like, those are strong fruits, and if anyone's going to have some of the strongest fruits, it should be the Gods Knights.
It would also follow that pattern of, like, you know, their existing fruits that are like strictly stronger versions of existing fruits like Ace and Akainu, you know, because like we have Kaku, right? He's a giraffe, kind of. Another thing,
this is a stronger, more mythical giraffe.
Yeah, another thing that I kind of it looked kind of similar to like how Kaido and Momonosuke looked a little bit. So I was wondering if maybe this is some kind of like curated fruit by Vegapunk in some way.
That's interesting. Like it could be like a hybrid fruit. Like he took the Azure Dragon fruit, mixed it with I don't know some other like lightning power, the giraffe fruit or whatever, and made this concoction.
Yeah. Yeah, he's interesting. Like, we don't know a lot about him, but just based off his design, he's like really interesting. I do want to talk about Saint Summers a little bit. There's another theory that I came across regarding him specifically, because it says he's from House Shepherd, which Jupiter is also, it's Shepherd Jupiter, right? So he's in that same like family. He's also got like the square chin thing going on, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, he
like,
kind of looks like him too.
yeah. So a lot of people had said, or there's like a long-standing theory about the Gorosei, that one of them is gonna be like a betrayer, like is gonna like betray Imu, like how we saw with like Doflamingo's people, where like Corazon, out of the 5 of them, was like the betrayer or whatever, you know, if you include what's his name, the armament hockey guy that they fight in Punk Hazard.
Virgo.
You know, because he was like one of the 5, right? And so if there's 5 Celestial or Gorosei, he could be like a betrayer one. And he also like sweat when like he had that like reaction panel when Garling came into the room. You know what I mean? So he, you know, that people were like, oh my god, like maybe him specifically like is worried about the Figureland family like being a part of this, and like maybe that'll mess with his whole potential betrayal. And so the shepherd thing, the theory that I came across, and this is again a very loose theory, but because of a lot of biblical references with a lot of this stuff and in One Piece in general, they were saying that shepherd, like that Jesus Christ was like known as a shepherd, and that because Joy Boy is like a very, or like Nika is a very like liberating Jesus style figure, that these people may be connected to Joy Boy in some way, like maybe related to Joy Boy, and that's why they kind of have this like lineage passed down to them of like one day like we're gonna rise up and we're gonna be like the ones betraying. So that I think at the very least the shepherds are something to keep an eye on, because it seems like they're like a relevant family. They're one of the only ones that we've seen like multiple people in the family of the Celestial Dragon so far.
Yeah, I think the only other one we saw were the Don Quixote family, who, ironically enough, are technically betrayers. Like, they don't feel like it themselves, but the Celestial Dragons consider them like betrayers also.
Right.
They're like, hey, if you leave this, like, you're not one of us anymore. You're against us at this point.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's interesting. One last thing I wanted to mention about this chapter 2. I know we kind of briefly said it, their plan to steal the children.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a feeling that they're going to try to steal a lot of these children, but we know all of them right now are in the same place. The only Straw Hats that we have here are Robin, Chopper, and Frankie's somewhat nearby because he's by the Atom Tree also. I don't think any of those 3 are strong enough to stop this, but they could stop some of it. So I feel like not all the kids are going to get stolen. I think the one that's going to get stolen is Colin. I think he's going to be a big focal point of this upcoming arc. I feel like it's going to be like something like Momonosuke at the start of the Wano raid, where he gets stolen by the enemy and they have to rescue him.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling Colin's going to try to fight back a little bit more than Momo did, because he looks like he's more brave.
He's like the only one in the party here that like would fight back, right? Or like of the kids, right? So and another thing about that, if you want to take it a step further, like maybe the Straw Hats do prevent them from like stealing kids, but then Robin gets taken. Like everybody's been saying like, oh, Robin's a target, whatever. And so it would be
every single arc, Robin is always a target.
Yeah, but it would hit even more home here, where like Saul is right there, you know what I mean? So to see Robin get taken away, it might be like a whole emotional thing. Like right after they reunited, she gets like ripped away again. So I don't know. It probably won't happen.
Well, I could even see Robin getting. So I feel like, what if one of the Gods Knights goes to attack Soul, who's trying to protect the kids, and I don't want to say fake out death again because then it feels redundant, but at least gravely injured, like maybe by Gunko's arrows, and then she's able to get like super powered from like anger and like stop it or something, and like I don't know, go into her demon form, snap their bodies in half or something. I feel like that'd be awesome to see from Robin.
Yeah, I got a couple little more things. So sorry, were you gonna finish that?
No, I was gonna say I actually said one more thing before, but I do have another thing to bring up.
I actually do have like a couple more things. So one thing I kind of wanted to address was the going back a little bit about the summoning circles again, is that Keeling-Gam mentioned that like you have to have this mark to go through the abyss, whatever the abyss is. I kind of am interested to know. I feel like it's just some kind of like plane of existence between these two places where they can like fast travel or whatever, but it seems like it's an actual like place almost. It reminds me of like how in Bleach they have to like run through different like portals when they're going from like heaven and hell and like the different places. But you know, I'm interested to see like what that entails, and like how they're, you know, like we said, like, you know, maybe Emu gives them these marks or whatever, but I just wanted to like quickly mention that.
Yeah, and the last one quick thing that I wanted to mention, for real, last thing I have this time, is we get a small little panel here where, what was this guy's name, Shepherd dude? He was like, oh, I thought you guys were visiting Harold's grave or something, which to me was very suspicious and helps play off the theory I had from before, where I think that King Harold was in cahoots with either the Celestial Dragons, the Marines, or the God's Knights or something to make Elbaf overall a more docile nation so that they could take over Elbaf and have the power of the Giants. And I feel like, what reason would the God's Knights have to visit their grave if he wasn't like working for them? Like, if he was really just an enemy, there's really no reason to go visit his grave, right? What, to like spit on it, I guess, maybe? Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so I mean, it's just making me believe more that Loki actually killed King Harold because Loki was doing the right thing and he's being framed for it.
Yeah, I think that it's more and more so pointing in that direction. Shamrock at the end here says we can make a game out of this. I don't know what they're gonna do. That reminds me a lot of the God Valley incident.
Very much so.
So I don't
almost identical.
Yeah, like I feel like it's almost gonna be. I mean, obviously it's not like a sanctioned event like God Valley was. But I don't know. They're up to something nefarious. I don't really have a lot of theories about that. I will say, you know, hey, the Holy Knights are mobilizing. Dragon, what's up? Where are you at, dude?
You think we see Dragon soon? But the problem is, there's no way Dragon knows that the Holy Knights are here because they just kind of teleport wherever they want.
Yeah.
So like, as much as I love calling Dragon a fraud, I don't necessarily know if I can blame him for this one.
Yeah, it's true. But you know, it is. We gotta see him eventually. We gotta. I mean, I don't know if it'll be in this arc, but the memes are flying again, you know?
The fraud allegations are there. Good luck, Dragon.
Yeah, good luck, I guess. Shit. All right, y'all. That's gonna be it from us. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for chilling with us again. If you got any theories.
One more great thing about this chapter.
Okay.
There's no break next week.
Oh my God, he said it. No break next week. Join us next week because we will be here.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.